I finished 8 books in July and I want to talk about them. I'm very proud of myself. I'm like trying to put this down. I'm very proud. This is the best reading month I've had all year. And it's funny because in June and May, I was in a bit of a reading slump. So I'm very excited to have finished this many books. Some of them were audiobooks, some of them physical. Let's get into it. The book that got me out of my reading slump was The Nursery by Sylvia Molnar. I don't quite remember how I found out about this book. I think I was looking for something short. This book is relatively short, 200 something pages. I was on the San Francisco Public Library website trying to see what books they recommended, and this was one of them. I had no idea what I was picking up when I picked it up, but I'm so glad I did. This book is 5 stars. It is literary fiction about a woman experiencing postpartum depression, and I think every human on earth should read this book, so go get it. Then I read Lion by Saru Brierley. I did a whole video comparing this book to the movie. 5-star book, great memoir, fantastic. Go read it, go watch it, read it. I didn't really like the movie that much. Go read it. Next, I finally read The Bandit Queen, or The Bandit Queens. I picked this book up a few months ago from a local bookstore, and I was excited to get into it. It's like a cozy mystery is what people are calling it, and this book taught me that I don't like cozy mysteries. I like to feel suspense and anxiety when I'm reading mysteries. So I give this book 3 stars, I think. There were parts when I laughed out loud, but then it felt like there were parts where they were forcing it to be funny when it didn't need to be. And I didn't really enjoy that. I think the side characters, the friends of the main character, are really funny, but the main character was just kind of annoying. So maybe 3.5. Another book that I gave a 3.5 that I was surprised by, and this one I read the ebook, so I don't have the physical copy, but that was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, I think. Is that her name? I think. Anyway. I have read one other book by her, and that is because my friend Gabby made me. No, she said that I should, and so I did. And then she said that I should read this. So I tried to, and I DNF'd it 20% into it because I was not feeling it. And then I saw it was going to be made into a movie, so I'm like, okay, let me do it for YouTube. And so I picked it back up again. And even though I hated what the book was about, there is something truly about Colleen Hoover's writing that makes you keep reading. Like, it was such a quick read. And even the first 20% that I read, I feel like I read it really quickly. And same as Verity. I went through Verity. The suspense, just like, I needed to know what happened in that book. It's messy. Anyway, It Ends With Us is hard to read because one of the male love interests is so unlikable from the very beginning. And so I wasn't feeling it, but something about her writing kept me going. So I gave it a 3. After that, I read The Sun Is Also a Star. This was recommended for a video by someone in the comments of a previous video. And I've known about this book. I've known about the movie for a while. I knew I wasn't going to like the movie, so I didn't bother reading the book. And I'm disappointed in myself because this book is really good. I would give this a 4.5 only because the male main character sexualizes the female main character a little too much for me. And this is a YA book. So even though he's a teenage boy, it makes sense. I just didn't. It kind of killed. It was too lust. I'm trying to find the right words. This is a love story, and him lusting over her just took away the love for me a little bit. I'm going to be making another video about this, comparing the book to the movie. Hopefully it'll be up next week. So stick around for that. I finally read Minor Detail. I bought this, I think, at the beginning of the year, and for some reason I just kept pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back. This book, it is about a woman who is sexually assaulted by soldiers during a conflict, and it jumps to present day. So that was 25 years in the past, and then jumps to present day, and it's about a reporter trying to figure out what actually happened to this woman. And when it says minor detail, this book, as short as it is, it was such a slow read for me because it literally tells you every detail about these two people's lives over the course of like 48 hours. And it felt really long. But the last 2 paragraphs of this book broke me. I was not expecting to be so heartbroken. No one really prepared me for the heartbreak at the end of this. So yeah, this is, Minor Detail by Adania Shibli. I'm so sorry. But yeah, everyone should go read Minor Detail. Next up was another audiobook actually, and that was this. My Lady Jane. I decided to read it so that I could watch the series on Amazon Prime. That video will also be up next week. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. This is a YA kind of Tudor period historical fantasy romance. I guess historical romantasy. It's a retelling of Lady Jane Grey's life. And what would have happened if she hadn't been killed 9 days into being the Queen of England. And it's really good. I don't read a lot of YA, and I think the fantasy was just realistic enough for me to like it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Especially, I started reading this after, or I started reading it right before Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race. And all the chaos ensued. I needed a fantastic distraction. And so this book was perfect for that. The show, not so much, no. Subscribe so you can see that video to hear my thoughts. Last but not least, was that everything? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last but not least, Razor Blade Tears by S.A. Cosby. Now, I read Blacktop Wasteland. I actually listened to that audiobook and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And so when I saw that he had more books, I was like, let me hop on this bandwagon. And so I borrowed Razor Blade Tears from the library. I actually tandem read and listened to the audiobook. And I must say, this is a good book. I do think I like Blacktop Wasteland better. This one feels, from what I remember, I think I read Blacktop Wasteland last year. Was it last year or at the beginning of this year? So I don't remember every point of it, but I do think this one is a little more violent. I think it's a little more violent. I think both of them are pretty violent. This is like a crime thriller, and so they both have a bit of violence, but I think this one more so. It's about a man whose son and son-in-law were recently killed. So him and the son-in-law's dad go to try and find out who murdered their sons and why, because the police are not figuring it out for them. And these two dads are also struggling with accepting that their sons were gay. And so that is a big part of this story. There is homophobia in this story. And I didn't know that. I go into books blind. I'm like, oh, he has a new book out, I'm gonna read it. And so I didn't know that this was part of the book. And I'm glad I read it. I think as I was reading, I was like, I'm not sure I would have picked it up if I knew how much that would be a part of this book. It's an important story, and it is, I don't know what to say. I just didn't necessarily enjoy reading it. I don't think the growth was as meaningful or as, I just feel like it could have been written better. I shouldn't say that. This is a good book. I just think that part of it But this is the interesting part about reading books by Black men, because this is not my experience. As a Black woman, I don't know what it's like to be in this situation. I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to dig myself out of this hole that I put myself in. But anyway, those are the books that I read in July. I'm so proud of myself. I've officially reached my goal. My goal this year was to read 24 books, and I've read 31, I think. But a good chunk of those, probably like a third of those, are audiobooks, and I would like all 24 to be physical reads, and I'm sure I can do that by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. But I'm currently, I just found out that Keanu Reeves is trying to be an author. No. I just found out that Keanu Reeves published a book, and I don't know anything about what this is about. I saw a headline that he was publishing a book, or that he was writing a book, and I wanted to read it. I didn't read the article, don't know what it's about, didn't read the description, nothing. So I'm going in completely blind. I'm a chapter in, and I don't really know what's happening. All I know is there's a doctor who has a patient that kills people. I don't know. It's called The Book of Elsewhere. It's co-written by Keanu Reeves and China Mayville? I can't pronounce names. But anyway, my name is Serena. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.